First story. Was it cheating? Mutual friends. Feel like I'm being the gaslit bad guy. It's been a long few months. My ex, 38F, and I, 37M, have been friends for 19 years since high school. Not just friends, absolutely best friends. Video calling 2 to 3 times a week, texting every day, hanging all the time, kind of friends. 4 years ago we kissed for the first time during a dumb spin the bottle game with a bunch of our friends on our yearly friend group vacation. Important detail. Has been happening every year since 2016. At the time she had a long-time primary partner, but they were polyamorous, so she asked me if I wanted to begin a FWB relationship, and I agreed, and we started from there. About 9 months after that, she and I started an official relationship as secondary partners. When she got engaged to his primary partner 3 months after that, her primary partner dumped her very suddenly via text while she was at our yearly vacation. So this was 1 year after Spin the Bottle. After that, she went through a very bad time mentally and stayed with my roommate and I for about a month. And we continued our relationship, but about 3 months after their breakup decided to be primary partners. So, our relationship was about 3 years long, and about a year, and we decided to be monogamous until further discussion. For the past couple years we've been fighting, at first rarely, then more and more often. Various circumstances and little things. Further context is we had been mid-distance for the entirety of our relationship. She lived with her parents about 2.5 hours from my city, but would visit often. About a year ago she moved down to my city, and shortly after got a job here. At this job there was this manager, let's call them T, 59M. T was a manager but super friendly with all the staff, and was openly poly. I did meet this T a couple of times, and I know they knew my ex and I were in a monogamous relationship. They were in a relationship with multiple other employees at the workplace, as well as another partner outside of it. I'm not 100% sure of all the details, but I know they were sleeping around a lot with both employees and non-employees alike. My ex was at very first friends with this person, but also would talk them often when we were at home hanging, the two of us, or with friends. We all agreed about all the red flags they had. They weren't a good employee, all of that. This April, I went to visit my family for a little under a week now. Before I had gone up, she had been complaining about T more and more, yet still being friends with them and going to group hangouts with T and their friends, other co-workers outside of work. And I had said a line of stop complaining if you're still going to expect the same amount out of them. I only want to hear one complaint a day, but vibes were just off while I was with my family. My ex sent a couple weird texts on a day I knew them, and a number of our local friends went out to a bar saying like T isn't shit, right, and asking reassurance that T is an obnoxious person. Few days later, I get home. Couple days after that we get into a big fight and she leaves my apartment and locks herself out front. And she left her phone in my room. Now I know that I am in the wrong for this next part, but I have no excuse other than my instincts were screaming at me. I looked at her phone, specifically only went into the texts with T, and find pretty much exactly what I'm looking for. They're talking about sexual experience and fucking stranger outdoors. I honestly read very little because it made me ill looking at, but I took a picture of her phone with mine, and the entire picture is texts from my ex. You'll have to let me know about the sex because you're really hot and I want to. Next day. Hey, I just wanted to ask if the sexting was like a one-time thing or if I made a mistake and the vibes are now off. When I asked you out I really meant it, etc., talking about how she only has sex with people she trusts and all that shit. I got throw her phone at her and tell her to go fuck T if he's gonna pull that shit behind my back. She comes in all apologies, all it meant nothing, all I was gonna tell you I just didn't know when. This was like the night after the night I got home. We both calmed down overnight and the next day have an actual conversation about it. She tells me how T took advantage of her as a manager and pushed her boundaries. And how the day after that he actually told them in person how shitty it was that they did that to her because it shouldn't even be on the table. I have a soft spot for her. She's my best friend almost 2 decades. No matter how upset I am and whatever, I made a dumb decision, and I said we can stay together if she stops talking to T for all reasons except strictly work. I know that they're a big part of the work friend group, and I said I don't expect her to avoid them 100% completely. But if we were going to stay together, she needed to not have a one-on-one friendship with them. No texting, no hangouts, nothing. He agreed, said she would. Almost 1 month later to the day we break up in an extremely shitty way. She dumped me by last second, saying she wasn't gonna come to the sold-out Chapel Roan concert with me of our friends that we had been group planning for like 7 months, and lied to the group the entire day about how she was gonna meet up with us. Well, actually going to the concert with T and a friend of theirs and not even making an effort to say hi to us. Still can't listen to Chapel Roan, to be honest. It's been months and I'm still fucking struggling with the whole breakup. Just found out about a week ago she lied to me about not talking to T, and actually was still best friend forever with him not only the rest of our relationship, but 2 months afterwards, and has only slightly stopped because allegations came out about T being a crazy. She's fucking some dude now that's close friends with T, and the whole thing is a fucking mess. She's a serial cheater that hasn't been single for more than 2 months since I met her in high school. Now, as discussed, we've been part of a long-standing friend group all together, and we go on a yearly vacation. That vacation is in 6 days. Earlier tonight at like 1:15 a.m. he dropped on the group chat that she's going to miss it ever since our breakup. He pretty much stopped messaging on showing up to calls on the group Discord server, and I've seen him a total of like 5 times, but have had either a fight with her or a meltdown where I honestly become completely inconsolable, and an awful mess messaging her in these fights. She keeps saying to me that she never cheated on me. It's like she'll go back and forth. She'll apologize and say she knew what she did was wrong. But then when she's pissed at me, she's like, "You cunt, I never cheated on you." We had a big blowout fight last Friday that resulted in her blocking me effectively everywhere and telling me that if I ever want us to be friends again, I need to respect her wanting space, and I'm really fucking trying to do so no matter how hard it is. Also, sorry this was written like a mess of a brain dump. Ty, if you've stuck with me. So 2 questions, audience, if you've bothered to read this far. Given all the info above, do you think this is cheating? She has admitted to sexting, sending tons of spicy pics. She asked them out, she asked them to have sex, but they were his manager, and in a position of power over her. She has never actually explained to me why it wasn't cheating other than his reasoning that they took advantage of her, but and I am genuinely curious here. I am having trouble seeing how that much initiation on her part would be them taking advantage of her. So if her main reasoning it wasn't actually cheating is because there was no physical contact and she said never mind after it happened, how the fuck do I move forward with this friend group? As of yet I haven't told anyone that she cheated because they are some of her main support system, and I haven't wanted to take that away from her. But this has resulted in them seeing my meltdowns and nothing of her behavior, so me feeling like the bad guy to everyone. Do I tell them she cheated? Do I tell them some of the other insane things she would do when it's just the 2 of us so he never looked like the crazy one? I'm so mad at myself for letting myself lose it like that because I know she's the bad guy. I don't know what I'll do if I tell my friends why I was reacting like that and they still think I'm the bad guy. I don't know how I'll want to be friends with all of them if I tell them what really happened. And they keep sympathizing with her. Both of those options scare me, but this group that is our mutual friends, they are my only friends. I don't want to lose everyone. Another thing, the way that all of this went down with us has me seriously questioning how much her primary partner actually knew about us during that first year we were together. with her manipulative behavior and willingness to tell you he's respecting your boundary, but so blatantly ignore it. Part of me has been wanting to reach out to her to apologize for don't trust her about her being okay with the situation, and also see if our experiences were similar, and hopefully provide some closure to both her and I. But I don't know if that is just selfish of me wanting to do it for myself, or whether it would just be hurtful to me or her or us both. Thank you. She maintains that I'm victim blaming as she is a victim of his manager doing this to her, but the texts that I have a picture of are all her initiation. I don't know how to completely cut her off and block her everywhere. She's in the main group that all of my friends are in. There's about 12 of us in the Discord server total, and the hangouts we do there are a big part of my day-to-day life. She has been avoiding most of them, though. It doesn't feel right to just go in the group chat with her and everyone and say she cheated 3 months after the fact. And it doesn't feel right to make a big group chat behind his back and say she cheated on me. Both of those things make me a bad guy again. During the breakup and afterwards I've had some meltdown fights that some of our friends were at least partially aware of. So they've all seen me lose my shit and be the bad guy, but all of her awful things were done in private. I'm scared saying these things are just going to make me seem like I'm just trying to defend myself. I'm scared that if I tell them all these things and they still want to be friends with me, but they think we're equally in the wrong, I won't want to be friends with them. They're my only friends. Second story. Feeling gaslit from my wayward partner. My partner, 25F, and I, 29M, were in an open relationship and we had one centrally governing rule. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Since we only recently started out, and the experience was new to the both of us, we were slowly toe-stepping our way into seeing others, with no major escalations. From June 30th to July 13th, my partner developed an emotional and physical affair with a married man with children. I was absolutely oblivious to this development. Her betrayal made me feel belittled, insignificant, invisible, unworthy, demeaned, and, fundamentally, disrespected, as well as creating and amplifying insecurities. The affair partner AP didn't even know I existed. Despite only meeting twice, they developed an exceptionally close connection. When AP traveled back to their country, she cried before he left at his hotel. And they resorted to send 2-3 long-worded emails per day, consisting of poetry, music, intimate details, and what they were going through and what they were up to. I reason emailing was the selected medium because AP wanted to evade communication from his wife. Anyways, the magnitude of their connection was greater than what I had with her, but it was similar to how our relationship first started. So, the Limerent's new relationship energy is particularly strong. AP eventually told his wife and both AP's wife and I affirmed no contact boundaries. So, they effectively chose to cut off contact. However, when they were communicating, the affair partner promised her 2 books. Also important to note, my partner never felt like she truly felt like she was in love with someone until she met me. So her feeling love is a novelty. My partner was exceptionally remorseful for the first week and a half. She told me she didn't want to tell me because she was concerned I would judge her for liking a married man. Also, at first, I think she was experiencing denial and brushed off their connection, plus emotional and physical attraction, as transactional and argued that she was just using him, the books, just before cutting off contact for good. However, my partner requested for books that AP promised her, because in her words, it'll feel that she'll still have a part of him. Mind you, his wife is likely oblivious to this development. My opinion and feelings, alongside the ongoing trauma and unprecedented emotional distress I'm enduring, were never accounted for, nor was consideration extended to AP's wife. I, after a couple of days of trying to nudge her towards accountability, put my foot down and objected, indicating how that makes me feel. She, however, insists that she already made so many sacrifices, e.g., cutting him off. But she wants to keep that 1%, tangibly represented by the books. She's very, very frustrated and annoyed by what she perceives as a restriction on her autonomy, with the overall attitude effectively being, "Can't I just have these fucking books?" And, honestly, this whole entire development is hurtful, because it reflects the same behavior that enabled the cheating to occur. The same selfishness, the same desperation, the same obsession. She's effectively saying that her immediate desires and feelings are more important than AP's wife's my feelings and self-respect. A different shade of disrespect, in that it was communicated, but to me, it's like forewarning me about getting punched in the gut indefinitely while simultaneously being spat on. Additionally, her logic surrounding the dynamic was communicated during this development. It is important for the next development of concern. What our relationship differs from traditional relationships, and this circumstance differs from traditional cheating, is that in our non-monogamous dynamic, the external relationship itself is permitted, and it's a separate matter from disclosure. In a traditional relationship, neither the external relationship nor the non-disclosure is permitted. So in this case, what I hope we can do is focus on our relationship, the relationship between you and I itself, instead of my relationship with someone else. I understand that in your mind feelings, this relationship represents my deceit to you and makes you feel uncomfortable, which is why I'm choosing to cut contact with this external relationship that otherwise would be permitted. But more importantly, in reality, I, myself, represent my deceit to you. I have made my confession, and I've been doing everything within my power to fix that and be transparent to you. Recommunication with AP. The second development relates to her wanting to recommunicate with AP. I noticed she wasn't herself and wanted to cultivate space with radical honesty and acceptance. I also insisted and had a strong feeling that she still had feelings and an attraction towards AP, despite her prior objections. She eventually spilled the beans and indicated that he's been on her mind all the time. She writes about him every single day, multiple times a day, and wrote and recently made a song for him. I reminded her on the 30th of July that it's been 1 month since they first met and made out, because of the trauma it represented, and she forgot about it. What does she do? She went to the cafe where they first met and wrote about him the whole day. She also has urges to call him or contact him, but is restraining herself. I also told her, despite what happened, I hope that there comes a day where they can rekindle things on more ethical footing, with my and AP's wife's awareness. This is the critical bit. When they cut off contact, they indicated that they would only contact each other to alert the other if their respective partner, AP's wife or I, changed our position, allowing them to re-pursue things. Later that same evening, with a slightly aggressive tone, she challenged my boundary on not letting her rekindle things right now, asking, "Why don't you let me talk to him so I can see if we actually work out?" I told her, I'm still healing and processing things. I don't know when I'd be comfortable with you two reassuming contact, and B, this is a sequential game, with AP's wife's decision also limiting her interaction with him, and you two rekindling things also being contingent on her. This also feeds into her obsession of just wanting to communicate with him. And, remember what she said before, I understand that in your mind feelings, this relationship represents my deceit to you and makes you feel uncomfortable, which is why I'm choosing to cut contact with this external relationship that otherwise would be permitted. What happened to that respectful attitude? All in all, I think she places a high value on her autonomy, and I respect her autonomy. If she wants those books and if she wants to communicate with him, by all means, go ahead. I'll just need to exit her life. But I feel like she's minimizing, which reduces the degree of remorse, and I feel like she's delusional. I think she's in the bargaining stage of grief. My partner and I are currently in the process of reconciliation, and honestly, at this point, I've effectively given up. Because of the boundary testing, am I entitled to feel disrespected? Manipulated? Are my boundaries really disproportionate and excessive? Why do I feel guilty for exercising basic self-respect? Why do I feel like my strength and courage throughout all of this is now being taken for granted? Or is there something from her perspective that I'm not seeing? Third story. Lost and barely holding on. Discovery was 3 months ago. 3 months of lies, gaslighting, and trickle truth. Today I found out even more that was hidden from me. Seeing this just showed that our will never actually happen and my life is basically over. I, 33M, have been with my WW, 30F, for 13 years, married for 2 years, and dated briefly in HS. I fell in love with her at first sight like in the movies, and since then it may have faded but never left. We have a daughter 3, and she's the only thing keeping me alive right now. The red flags were there since the beginning and the serial cheating too. Every time I found out, not once was there ever disclosure without lies and rug sweeping. I would forgive, more like forget, like a love-blind sick puppy and take her back. She has cheated on me basically every year we've been together, multiple times a year. But this past year has brought every bad feeling and thought right back in tenfold. In September last year she cheated and stayed the night, only coming home in the morning. The things I found out about that night still haunts me to this day and can't stop visualizing everything. They had sex 6 times that night, all over his apartment, and she squirted for the first time for him. She fell in love with him, I could tell, and I truly lost a part of myself after him. She saw him 3 more times, that I know of, even after discovery. Even using her friends going out as a way to see him. In November, she went out with friends, but before that she sucked another guy off in his car before the club. She had multiple EA partners, that I had to beg her to stop talking to multiple times. She continued with one of them, 18M, and he became her backup plan. Found out after initial discovery in May. They met on multiple occasions when I went to work, even with my daughter sometimes. But the time that ruined me was in February. She went out with her best friend, flirted with guys and whatnot, and planned that they would both cheat the next time they went out. My wife planned everything, even though she says she didn't. I read it. She came home lying through her teeth saying it was only her friend that cheated. Admitted cheating after discovery but lied about who it was, 18M. Even though I was on her trail, she still continued her affair with him until April. When I found out and left, he was the first person she called. 7 minutes after I left, he ignored her. Due to our daughter, I accepted to return and work on R now 3 months after the start of attempting R. I can see that she is still lying and giving fake trickle truth to save face. I'm at the end of the road and I don't know where to turn. I have IC scheduled this week and I'm hoping to get mental guidance on that part. I'm just lost on what I should do. Should I save up before asking for separation, or should I ask first and then start planning my exit? Would revenge cheating help? Loyal since day one.